Two unemployed actors. Two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
G'day everyone, I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we are two unemployed actors joining the world where there's a lot of unemployed actors at the moment.
Hell yeah.
Pandemic life. But we've got some stuff to talk about. Stuff is still happening. Lots of stuff. So, kicking it off right now. Actually, I'm wearing a badge that I bought last week, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, yes.
It says, if you can read this, you're too close, take a step back. Hashtag social distancing. I love
what
it.
if
It's
someone
really
just
cool.
has really, really good vision?
It's practical, and it's kind of fashionable. I like it. It's cool. Maybe I'll keep it post social distancing. Keep it a thing.
Just have people the spatial awareness. You just need it's a
I'll
special
just
awareness.
be like, hey, take a step back. So I'm practicing my safe social distancing, which is great. Another thing that's pretty exciting is that it looks like we're lifting restrictions soon.
Yes.
Which is good.
I think by the 2nd of May, I was reading it this morning, I think 2nd of May, you can go for a picnic.
I mean, how cool is this? We've even got children excited to go to school. I mean, this is what happens in the upside down world, but
God.
I don't want it to make...
What has the world come to?
I don't want it to be a pandemic podcast, but it's kind of dominating, right? So in terms of productions, in Australia, well, in the English-speaking world, one of the first productions to go back into production is Neighbours, the long-running soap in Melbourne, filmed in Melbourne. They've actually started this week. And what's interesting, I've looked at how they're starting, because I'm like, how are they going to do that? I mean, obviously there'll be writers for actors to sign and crew, I imagine, that, we're going to do our best, blah, 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 but legal, but sign here because we can't guarantee you safety. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. But basically, they've divided their studio space because most of it's filmed in a soundstage with just a few external bits, like most of those day soapies. They've divided the studio into quadrants, and then there are 3 separate production teams that are isolated from each other. So if something happens to one person, and say they've been in contact with someone else who's had it and they have to go in quarantine, that production team's quarantined, but there's still 2 other production teams that are running.
Yeah, right.
And there's only 3 actors that are allowed to cross between those groups, who are obviously key storylines at the moment. So that minimizes the risk, right? And there'll be no more than 100 people a day in any particular area, with the 4 square meter rule to make sure there's plenty of space, and 1.5 meter social distancing rule, and all that sort of stuff. So if someone gets sick, it's only the group whose members affected will be, moved off, and the shoot can continue, which is great. They're going to have a nurse on set, and everyone entering will have to have their temperatures checked.
Oh my God.
Then you think about what happens as an actor. You think about everything. Like you can't help but you're in contact with so many people. When you actually sit down and think about it, you realize just how much you're being you're in close proximity with people. Like, think about makeup.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're right there, right? So male
even
actors
with other actors, like there are intimate scenes
exactly.
and stuff as well.
Well, male actors aren't going to have any makeup, and female actors won't be touched up. So they'll do their makeup once, and then there's no, final touches before action.
Are they actually? But that's kind of sacrificing some of the quality, I guess, for episodes.
So that's the balance, isn't it? Do you want to keep the production moving forward with a slight yet understandable decrease in that quality? I mean, but as an actor, I would sacrifice that. I'd even do my own makeup.
Yeah, I'd happily do it, but from a production point of view, like production crew point of view, and just like thinking about, or production company, point of view. I don't know. Yeah, cool.
Well, they're gonna, like you said before, that point about actors in close proximity, they're not going to have in the storyline kissing, holding hands, or intimate scenes.
Yeah, okay.
And actors will actually practice social distancing, so they're going to use a few camera shots to make it look like they're closer. But they won't be separate.
You know, sometimes like if you're in a park, you have someone standing this close to camera and someone really far back, and it looks like they're like one
exactly.
small. It's going to look like that.
Exactly. So it's quite easy to cheat.
There's going to be a mini actor, a mini person all the way over here, and there's like a big one here.
Like a little Lego figurine.
They'll be talking to it like this. Yeah.
And they're not going to use extras at all, because think about that as a potential
Oh yeah, there must be plenty.
problem as well, and so they're just going to have crew members like changing shirts and running in the background, limbs and
That's
things.
fair enough.
I mean, Hollywood's in their 6th week of production shutdown, and speaking to a friend over there, they're doing lots of self-tapes at the moment, getting ready for stuff that's being written as we speak, sort of thing. So, like, they know what's coming up, and they're doing lots of self-tapes to help work fit and get them ready, and fresh show reels and all the stuff that we're doing, all the stuff that you want to be doing while you're in downtime.
I watched Extraction. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I did. I saw that one twice. You know, that 12-minute action sequence?
Yeah. Holy hell. Like, that's very, very cool. So I thought that the cinematography was really well done. It was actually quite similar to, I think, to Upgrade in that sense at times. I liked that there was kind of there are a lot of, like, that one scene was kind of like all diegetic sound, like no music, which was kind of cool. And obviously every fight scene was awesome, but the plot was very disconnected, wasn't a great plot, didn't have me connected, which, like, you can't expect too much.
Yeah, it's one of those
from a
high body
stuntman
count
director
action movies, you know what I mean? So, but what was interesting, what I was looking forward to, even in production when I was talking about him, strapping himself to the front of the camera car to really get into the minutiae of the camera shots and the the cinematography and all that. And I think, an accomplished stuntman directing an action movie just has so much potential, and it really shines. Like, this is a guy who's picking up stuff every time he does stunt sequences. He's been unit director on Avengers and lots of stuff, working with the Russo brothers, and controlling the action shots. And I think what he said was interesting was when he's in his mind organizing these action sequences, he's already thinking about camera placement and how we can get unique angles and get closer to the action and all that sort of cool stuff, which I think is great. And he wasn't originally pitching for Hemsworth.
Yeah, I know. It was like Bruce Willis or Arnold Schwarzenegger, I read somewhere.
No, well, what he originally wanted to do was have someone who's less like a action hero, like less bulky, really? like someone who more like think martial artist who's a bit slim, bit not like kind of like a John Wick, but without the weapons. He's still okay with his hands. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's even more jarring when all of a sudden the guy comes to life and is an action superstar sort of thing. But obviously, when Chris Hemsworth becomes available, you take it.
Chris's acting was really good, I thought. There were points where he was underplaying it, but it worked so well for the character. Like, I thought he played it really well. I
think those moments where you actually got to, he's not the jokey sort of Thor character. It's really a bit more raw, and when he in those those scenes with the child, it's a bit more much more emotional,
and Joe Russo wrote it.
That's awesome. I think awesome. To get and to have that much commitment to, like, you've got the Russo brothers, they've written it, it's their baby, and it's like you've worked with them before, so it's kind of like it's all sort of coming together to be a no-brainer. It's going to be a cool action flick.
And Sam Hargrave had, like, that cameo as well as the
he did,
sniper dude, and he was also filming a lot of it. He was the one sitting on the front of the cars doing all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember I shared those stuff as the production was unfolding. I'm like, this is so cool. He's invented this new category of title. It's called stunt directing, I think. That's my because I asked him when he was strapped to the front of the car, I'm like, is that beard going to make a cameo in the movie? He's gone, there is a strong potential. So now that I see he's actually had a cameo in it, and I have to say, I want to go to the Sam Hargrave school of weapons handling, because it looks so cool. Like, when he's about to take a shot, like, he's sort of fairly loose and limber, but then as the weapon comes up, there's this moment where everything freezes and he just flexes, and it looks like he's just about to kill someone. Like, it's just I don't know, I can't put my finger on it, but it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's scary.
Well, that first fight scene was sick. That was so cool.
I know. Could you imagine how many months of training? Because
it's so cool.
Anyway, it's a great.
Do you reckon Chris survives? You know, that
I think
ambiguous
so.
ending?
I think there's
Do you
sequel
reckon that was
potential.
him?
Sequel, prequel.
He has to. He's Thor, like King of Asgard. You know,
You can't kill Chris.
You can't kill Thor.
It must be in his contract. Don't kill me and make me look better in the fight
I need to
scenes
do more
than the other guy.
films. Yeah. The only thing separating it from like a Bollywood and Hollywood film is Chris.
Exactly.
Except David Harbour was in it. That was cool. That was a cool moment.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Harbour walks in. I'm like, wow.
Wow, what the hell?
Wow.
Yeah.
Just popping into Thailand for a shoot in between Stranger Things.
Thailand.
Oh, they filmed that in
Did they?
Thailand and 11 Days in India.
Oh, so there was one
Obviously
scene
in Australia as well, because those opening shots are all in Oz.
Are they actually in Australia?
It does look like Australia. It looks a bit hard to
I
fake
thought
that.
so. Yeah, I
Probably
thought
like
so
a
as well.
small unit, though. I mean, it was only a couple of scenes.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of TED Talks recently as well. Just because, like, you know, I think it's really interesting and it you know, opens your mind up and get a little more intelligent by watching those things.
Some productive downtime.
Not even necessarily on acting, some on acting, but like a lot on just random things like how to tell if someone's lying or deceptive, or how to difference between us and people who think originally, and all this different. There are so many I've been watching, and how to speak more intelligently or sound more intelligent, and just different things like that. It's really interesting. Yeah.
Sounds like you're on this theme of personal improvement, personal
No,
development.
it's just I've gotten into TED Talks recently. I watched an Adam Driver one where he was talking about his journey from Marine to actor, because he was a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
And that
What
was
did that
really
journey look
interesting.
like? Suddenly landing in, in the real world from the army and going, what do I do now? And then finding an agent, and then
he lived in a small town, and so the only theatre he knew were the ones that the plays he was doing in high school, and the films that he knew were the ones that he got from Blockbuster. But at 17 he applied for Juilliard and didn't get in. Decided to drive to LA, but had all these moments of his car breaking down and then getting to Santa Monica and turning around and driving back. And he decided he was, you know, selling vacuums at his hometown and doing all these different things. And he's like, I just feel kind of useless right now. And it was just after 9/11, so he was kind of feeling patriotic. So he decided to apply for the Marines, and he was like doing that for a few years. And just before he was about to be shipped off for his first tour in like wherever, he like broke his sternum doing BMX biking.
as you do.
So he was devastated that he couldn't go, but then he was sent back home, applied for Juilliard again, and got in this time. But it was about how he, you know, once you've been in the military, you kind of, he was talking about how civilian problems don't seem that big anymore. And it was hard for him to kind of, especially go into acting and fake emotions for whatever, and just know, it was hard to just kind of transfer from Marine to actor again, and the struggles of that, but then finding his way and finding the connections between them both. And he started this whole non-for-profit company as well for it. It was quite interesting, actually.
Okay. Who'd have thought his life changed from a BMX accident?
And now he's a Oscar-nominated actor.
I haven't been delving into TED Talks. I've been delving more into the industry and around, because
We get it. You're better than me. We get it.
I know. No, it's but yes. It's it's more about, like, I know all a lot of the jobs of the crew, and like I know what they do, but I don't know how, right?
Yeah.
And I got no idea, like, the specialties involved. And I don't really want to know intricate details and study all the bits and pieces that others do on the crew. But obviously, the more I understand how it relates to performance, the better, I guess. And with a bit of downtime, why not? I stumbled upon, I think it's Adam Savage. You know, remember from Mythbusters?
Yes. Yeah. Adam Savage is cool.
Basically, he's YouTube has lots of how-tos and how does this work and lots of stuff. He went to a musical in San Francisco was Hamilton in one of the huge theaters, and just did a
the
20-minute
microphones.
piece. Yeah, he just did a 20-minute piece with the sound mixer, and it was fascinating stuff. Like, I learnt so much. Like, basically, it's not just turning on the mic when they're starting their performance, then turning it off when they finish their performance. He's actually turning the mic on for every line, and then off as soon as the line's over.
Yeah,
like, as they're performing. It is to see him do that with, like, it's just crazy to try and even comprehend the skill involved, because there's so many mics and backup mics. It's just insane.
I think I saw that same video. Like, they did custom mics.
There's two different videos. One talks about sound mixing, which is very different, and the other one's about the mics.
Oh,
and
yes.
how they form and have backups and all that sort of stuff. Now there's like 110 for the production as a separate one.
Okay, you watched the sound mixing one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I looked at them both, but what really stood out for me, because I've had less to do in my past with, you know, the intricacies of mics than the mixing desk, because I think on radio, the biggest desk I had was like 8 channels, and within those 8 channels, there was a few that doubled, where you got to flick the switch for, you know, we even had a reel-to-reel machine and 2 turntables for vinyl, a computer for some of the songs, because that was just starting, and mini disc player. Do you remember mini disc players? You might have missed those. 2
I know
CD
what they
players.
are, but no, I never used them.
2 CD players. It was like there's a lot happening from this little 8 track, and it was live. So, you know, but to try and, like, to see the size of that professional desk that they use in Broadway, and the intricacies involved with mixing all those channels, I'm just, and live for each of the mics as well. Oh my God, it just blew my mind. I've just had this whole, because you don't realize just how much a part of the performance that they are. Like, if you're on key and absolutely, you know, having a great night, he's gonna bump you up.
Yeah,
because you're on it at the moment. Like, he's gonna bump you up. But it's interesting too, just how much they can be your friend when, you know, you're not quite there, or you've missed a bit or something, you know, like, it's amazing. It's amazing. And being live, anything can happen. So you've got to be on it. It's just fascinating. And to see the size of his script that he uses, it is his book that's massive. And it literally, as he turns the page, it's got every, like, what's happening on which mic number corresponds to which line, what changes with the music, so that he knows how to dial up. Like, even just on the drums, there's 4 mics. Like, it's just phenomenal. So I absolutely blew my mind, because here I am with my Rodecaster Pro, you know, and doing a podcast, and I'm just like, that is insane. It really, like, I didn't realize, and I didn't appreciate just how much a part of the performance that is.
Yeah.
Unsung hero. I tell you, if you're on stage in a musical, you want to give this guy a Christmas card. Seriously. Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's just
crazy.
insane. It's just insane, the amount of detail and the amount of training, and it's just phenomenal. As you'd expect. I mean, but it just blew my mind. I don't know. So I shared it on my Facebook page, my acting page, but I'll share it on the 2 Unemployed Actors socials as well, because it's so worthy. And it's a great opportunity to appreciate just how much work goes in behind the scenes, full on. So I was pretty excited, and got all nerdy, because it's all about sound and stuff now. And I think knowing more about what you know, with voiceovers and the podcasting, etc., I probably appreciate it a bit more now than even, you know, a year or 2 ago. But like, even on set, I remember on my last professional shoot, talking to the soundie. We're on break and talking about the nuances of using a bass traps when you're doing when you're trying to have a better sound environment for whatever you're doing. And he was surprised that I knew what I'm just keen. I'm asking more and more questions, because that was at a time when I was looking at purchasing some new equipment as well. So it's great to have those moments, but I think my curiosity's always been there. It's just now that we've got the time, I'm trying to download more data into my poor little brain. What I remember when I end up on set again, I don't know. There's no guarantees, but I'm enjoying it at the moment.
Yeah, it's good. Like, that's all you can do.
Voiceovers have been a bit busy too. I have to say, I had to work over the weekend, a couple of half days each day because last minute job came in from Hewlett Packard, and it was 3 online advertisements all about how, you know, in this current environment, here's how technology can help you, blah, blah, blah. And then talking to the Chinese company about narrating their 15 episodes of cartoons. They're dubbing it in English in time for a Canadian festival, but also wanting to use it globally. And narrating with my narrator voice.
Well, on the topic of voiceovers, I did a voiceover audition recently, actually.
Oh yeah,
through Star Now. These people wanted, I don't know, 40 Australian voices for something. No guarantee, but like they pretty much are saying like, because we need so many people, you probably will get something. So that's pretty cool.
So I got a better chance when you send your file away. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And so we had to. It was weird. It would be a lot of lines, a lot of words. Sorry.
Okay.
I
so
think
they're probably looking for real consistent background then to make sure that it all sounds the same.
Yeah, and they want some sort of I think it's for something in the US, something like a company or a voiceover for like a video or corporate something or other. Right. I don't know, something like that.
Is it broadcast, like for television and radio, or is it non?
No, I think it's for pre-recorded video stuff. Yeah, internal stuff. But good pay if you get it. But so Jess and I had to set up like this fake studio. Well, I did it, but I used my cupboard and I opened it up and put the mic in there and then put the doona over the back of it.
Yep.
To make like a little quiet studio. It worked kind of.
It does.
Okay.
I mean, I know following lots of voiceover artists and also agents, when the lockdown started in Australia, they were certainly sharing their improvised studio spaces, and you've got people under the table with the blanket covering the whole table. You've got people in the closet, because the closet's a good one, because when you're traveling and you have a little travel mic and your phone to record to, because it's an audition, it's not like studio. You want to be able to replicate that, and it's the pillow castles on the bed. That was a good one. Exactly. So it's really, I mean, obviously I sent a reminder to everyone going, hey, just in case I've got a professional studio set up, happy to oblige. So it does help to have a studio set up, but it was just fascinating to see all these improvised spaces, because they can work. You can send studio stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool. Like they asked you not to apply unless you have a proper studio. So anyway,
well, you got to give it a shot, right? And
yeah,
you
exactly.
Be the only
What's
one to
going to happen?
Look, I'm an actor. I'm an artist. I can understand this. So I can do it. I've got the equipment. Let me
see if it
give
works.
a nudge. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So having this now works for voiceovers. I mean, probably not as well as your Procaster, because this is for singing, but it works. It works. Similar thing. I was very happy with one of my takes. It sounded very cool.
Good. Well, I mean, remember when I started, I just had the Rode Mic Go, which just plugs into my phone to be able to help as a directional mic when I'm doing self-tapes. So I just literally plugged that in to the computer directly, and I was auditioning from that. And I landed a couple of big jobs, and I looked at that going, oh my God, I can't record this huge job on this tiny little...
Yeah.
That's when I thought, okay, I'm going to invest in the right equipment. So it was kind of,
it's funny
as I get more work, I reinvest to get better work. But yeah, my first big successes, 2 of the big successes were from a tiny little mic.
I guess it's interesting if you think about like how they give you those roles after an audition through a tiny shitty mic or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's that just goes to show it's not like, oh well, you want to be an actor, okay, well here's a script, just go read off the script. Like there's just so much more to it. Like how do you sound? And I know at the moment it's less full on DJ voice. It's more about relaxed and relatable. So it's like you're talking with people, not at people. That's the kind of and with my experience of 20 years in corporate, like I've been on the receiving end of so many messages, I sort of can understand really quickly what they're trying to convey. If it's a sales pitch, if it's an internal pitch, if it's a trade show pitch, like there's nuances to help, and obviously the type of audience as well. That way, it's more about how you, and I give people a few options as well. And like even something so simple as just smiling as you speak can change so
How you
much.
sound, yeah.
Particularly if they're customer service ones or phone on hold, all the non-glamorous stuff but pays the bills. You want to be smiling when you read because then it's a bit more,
Yeah, exactly.
It's less like you're on hold. You're going to be here for a while, so just hang in there. It's a bit. You want it to be. You're on hold. Hang in there. We'll be with you shortly. So you know what I mean. Like it's just.
You can tell you're a voiceover.
So it's more about how you sound rather than the quality of how you sound. Now I say that, but there is an element of they're going to end up in the hands of a studio engineer who's going to put it together and you really don't want them to have to work so hard to repair what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even now with the right equipment, I don't do much processing at all. Like I just record raw and send them this high quality file because they're the experts. They'll be able to play with it and put the music bit in and all that sort of stuff. So there's, you've got to have something usable, but it doesn't have to be you paying for studio time to get that amazing sound quality.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially on an audition.
Exactly.
Sometimes for the big jobs too, they'll ask for a directed session where they're actually you're FaceTiming them, they can hear you and they can give you some feedback. And even to connect through the ISDN or whatever the network connection is directly to the studio. So it's like that connection's coming from the sound booth in front of them, but it's just coming from you. So that it's literally a live connection between you and the studio.
It's very
but that's, so then you need better equipment. So the better equipment unlocks the better jobs, but yeah, it's about you and how you sound and how you can sound for the client. There's heaps of tutorials online too from voiceover professionals, and best to go to the ones that are actually working and booking work at the moment because they'll have a lot more credibility because there's so much garbage out there too. And that's quite interesting to hear them compare microphones and all that sort of stuff. But for the techies, it's fascinating too to pick up some tips and tricks and learn from their mistakes. It's a bit cheaper.
Grant Thompson actually watched one of our podcasts.
Oh, yeah? As in you watched on YouTube or listened on a potty?
Yeah, I think watched on YouTube.
Okay.
Well, he said watched, so I'm guessing YouTube. But so that's
good.
Cool. He hated it. No, I'm kidding.
I was waiting for that. I'm like, okay, he watched it. And
No, I think he liked it. He didn't talk much about it, but he didn't talk much about it, but he said he watched it and it was cool. So
that's progress.
That's progress indeed.
I mean, next he'll watch another one and then he'll subscribe. I can feel it.
I don't know if he's that sort of dude.
If not, I will hunt him down. No. So how's that going? Are you working on that self-tape still for Mullinass?
It's good.
Isn't it?
No. Actually, I've sent it. It's all sent.
It's happened.
Yeah. So I've sent the Mullinass one and I sent the actor one. We shot
done.
an actor one, which was really good. We did something and we figured out what works for me, which is kind of thinking about something that makes me as a Sam have those sort of emotions and feelings. So pulling from real experiences works really well for me. That's what we did for the actor self-tape. And I think that's the best self-tape I've ever done.
Grant's good, isn't he, at pulling the performance out?
Yeah, and so I've uploaded them and I forgot that I made a Vimeo account 2 years ago, but I had nothing on it. So I reset that up and uploaded all my videos. So now that's on Vimeo, which is a lot easier and kind of, I think, better spot than YouTube because it allows you to change thumbnails without having to subscribe, all that stuff. And you can have it, as much as you want, except without paying, you have like a 5 gigabyte limit per week or whatever of uploading.
I think Vimeo's been quite good. It's more industry, I find. And like I'm able to send a link to my agent or casting director knowing that it's going to work, and I can make it private, and I just want them to see it or a few people to see it. I don't want everyone on YouTube to see it. And it works quite consistently. It's a bit of a clunky interface in that, but it does the job.
Yeah, and I've sent Mark all my stuff, so that's good. I think it's I just crossing my fingers. Like,
good luck.
We find out about the actor thing on the 6th of May. I think they announced the winner then, which is a pretty short amount of time to figure that out. Like, there must be hundreds.
Well,
hundreds.
Plenty of time on their hands, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Not
And
so busy with their
Malmers,
day
we don't
jobs,
know,
these
but-
judges, because there is no day job.
Yeah.
Pandemic laugh. But it's interesting what you said about the actor piece, how you've got to have these, you're looking for these cues to use to bring out that emotion that the character needs at that point in the scene.
Yeah,
'Cause
definitely.
It works for me too. That, like, I use the Chubbuck technique, and I've talked about it before in previous podcasts, and coached by Anthony Brandon Wong on that, because I think particularly, like, imagine you're doing 8 shows a week on stage. What's interesting is what you might be using to substitute in one performance, in one particular key scene, to bring out an emotion might be different 3 weeks later, because it won't work as well, and you've got to have something else to sort of to bring that to life. I remember Anthony saying there was one particular scene, and he laid it out in photos on the floor when it was still fairly fresh, and he had some of the lines down, but he's just looking at what imagery that works for him, whether it's personal experience or what he wants to do or loves or hates, to bring out the right emotion at that time. So he translates the images on the floor, and literally it told this story for him that has nothing to do with the play, nothing to do with that character's moment, other than it brings out the emotion for him to be able to portray that character so accurately and intuitively in the moment. Really interesting.
Yeah, wow.
And you might even have a couple of different ones and play with a couple to sort of work out which one's going to work better for you. So lots of playing around and stuff. And I think, once you get that, where the character's going, where he just was in the scene, what's going to happen in the next scene, all the circumstances around you. And you've got the emotion down of that particular scene. I mean, you could fluff lines and still be on point. You know what I mean? Like, it's still, you're not going to say something random,
Well, that's what you need. Exactly. You need to be at that point and that you're so connected that, you're listening. It's like it's people underestimate how important listening is for acting and performing,
Exactly.
As humans, we listen, and you need to mimic that, I guess. Or not mimic it, but do it,
Just sometimes I don't listen to you, but mostly I do. I tell you what was exciting. Listening to the Premier of New South Wales talk about motorcycle riding, bike riding being exercise, a form of okay to do in pandemic. I'm like so excited. I can actually just go for a ride on my Vespa.
I don't know if it's because it's a
and
form
not get
of
arrested
exercise.
with a fine.
How is it a form of exercise?
Listen. She said it must be true. Don't question the Premier.
That's hilarious. Oh no.
Or she'll have you arrested. No, it's not.
No, it's
at
true.
all.
Martial law. Here we go.
And they opened Bondi. They're opening Bondi, and they're opening a few of the beaches again, because they keep opening them, and then people just muck up and just end up close to each other and just laying in the sand, not exercising at all. So they've organised these metal barriers like a channel across the sand to the water. It literally forces you to go straight down into the water, swim, and come back out again. I think it's kind of cool way of at least you getting something, because otherwise the idiots would take over.
Yeah.
And all the low IQs would just muck it up for everyone else again for the third time. So I seriously want like a note from my physio that I can do it for rehab. Just laminate it and hold it up on the surf and just go, it's for medical reasons.
Yeah, do it.
My little chicken wing swimming in circles.
If they allow it for marijuana, I guess it's not a stretch for swimming.
You could just see me rolling up with the lights, my cappuccino hanging from my cup holder on the Vespa with a big joint, just smoking away at the light, waiting for it to turn green.
You're such a meme.
Sorry, officer. It's medical purposes.
God.
One of my personalities. You've been listening to Max.
And Sam.
And we're 2 unemployed actors. We'll be back next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that exciting stuff. Bye.
2 unemployed actors.